Okay, welcome to the Purposeful Living. Um, and currently what I am working on is remodeling my kitchen. So, excuse the mess. I'm just going to show you some of what I've already done with my kitchen so you can see where I'm going. Okay, so this is where I've resurfaced my countertops and put an epoxy resin on it. And so you can see where it has that gloss look. And what I used in order to accomplish this is I went to Walmart and I purchased a product called Peel and Stick. And it's a form of laminate. It's usually used for projects like lining your cabinets, but I am using it to give myself the look of granite. It comes with 36.6 square feet of length, which is a good amount, as you can see. Now, I want you to see where I got to go. I've got a lot of cabinet to do, as you can see, to get done. But this is about how much I was able to do with one roll. I was able to accomplish this, the end of my peninsula, as well as this, as well as this. And this is what it looks like now. So today, what I am going to be doing is I am going to be sanding my countertop, because I actually have part of a countertop now that is that had a place, because this was Formica. Prior to me putting on this laminate, I have a Formica material, and as you can see, it has like that two-part thing going. You have a piece here, then you have a separation, then you have a piece here. And because of the way the island is set up, as you can see, this is a piece that I'm going to have to do as well. This is what it looks like. This line was here. And that line actually formulated like a little bump so it wouldn't be smooth. And I had tried, when I initially was going to put the laminate over it. So what I did to smooth it out is I used this product called Dry Dex. And it goes on pink, and then when it's dry, it turns white. And I did this a few days ago, so now it is ready for me to take it off. Well, not to take it off, but excuse me, to sand it down so that I can smooth it out. So I have me a sander. This is my sander, the Black & Decker, and I'm just using, I think it's 180 grit, as well as this. You want to make sure you use all safety precautions, because these types of things are, chemicals and stuff, so you get the sanding, you don't have things going around in the air, and you don't want to be breathing it. I'm also going to put some glasses on because I don't want particles to be going in the air and getting in my eyes. Okay, and so here's the process. Okay. So as you can see, that didn't take long. But as you can see, your goggles are needed because those little particles do fly pretty far. And you don't want that stuff in your eyes. Okay. Having done that, I'm just going to lightly brush away the excess and that which came off of my surface. Okay, now I'm not sure if you can see. So I'm just taking a damp mop, just to kind of dry it out. I don't want to get all of it off because then it would have made my efforts completely fruitless. But I do want to get off the excess. And so I just want to verify that I have a smooth surface that I was aiming for. And now that we've done with that, I have to let it dry, or I can just air dry it or whatever. But it needs to be a dry surface before you put the peel and stick on. And remember, we're going to put an epoxy resin on it, so it's not like we're concerned about the peel and stick ever coming off, because peel and stick does come off. Otherwise, it's an adhesive on it, but the adhesive is not a permanent adhesive so that you can move it back and forth. And so I have already measured how much I need for my project. So hopefully you can see. Because the next step is just to put it on. And so what you do is you get a corner of it off. And you don't want to try to get too much at a time off. My surface is pretty much dry. Still got a little bit of this stuff going on. So you try to get as much of the dry stuff off. So you get just enough to peeled off to work with the area you're working with, because air bubbles will form if you take off more than you can chew. And you want to line it up to where it's just overlapping. You want to make sure everything is and just so that you can see what I'm doing here at the bottom. You just want it to kind of fold underneath. Now for some reason I have a hard time getting this to stay underneath. So when I'm finished with this, I'm going to have to super glue it to the very end of this, because for some reason it will not stick to the very end. You want to make sure you have some going underneath. So once we have a sufficient lip, you may have to keep pulling it to make sure it's tight there. Make sure it's tight. And then as you see, I am just rolling this, and hopefully you can see what I'm doing. And this angle such that you can see. Exactly how this process is going. The sheet is underneath, and I'm just rolling it and pushing it down as I go. Just rolling and pressing. Okay, and so now that I've moved, I've smoothed out, sanded my space, I don't feel that hump that was there, which is exactly what I was going for. You gotta keep pushing it down as you go along, getting out any air bubbles you can feel, because when you have a pattern that is as busy as this one is, you're not going to be able to see the air bubbles, but you will be able to feel them. So you just keep pushing as you keep going. The thing about life is sometimes you have to get away from the situation to see the imperfections in it. And, you know, I just had to get away. Sometimes I have to get at a different angle. And so that's how it is with this laminate. For instance, I couldn't feel or see the air bubbles from where I'm standing, pushing on it, you know, working with it. But as soon as I moved to the other side of the room, I could actually see where there were air bubbles in it. And so I say that because that's just how life is. Sometimes we got things going on in our life, and we're too close to the situation to see objectively. That's why a lot of people, you know, tend to go to psychiatrists or psychologists or someone who's outside the situation, who can look at your situation and tell you just how messed up it is. Because sometimes when you're in a situation, you tend to gloss over it, or you're not necessarily able to see how messed up the situation is. That's what the Word of God allows us to do. We can save ourselves heartache, we can save ourselves money, and we can know that we are in the will of God by just stepping back, seeing what the Word of God has to say about our situation, and then reassessing and then reanalyzing it from that vantage point. But usually, if we try to figure it out while we're in it, we can't see how messed up it is. We can't see that, oh, this is not going in the way it should be going. We can't even see that we're part of the problem, if indeed we are. So it's very important in relationships that you have that time to get a perspective on things, and to really analyze what is important and what should be valued and what should not be. And sometimes we want to try to fix the situation ourselves, and we allow ourselves to get worked up over things that we're not going to change by talking about it. We may be able to change by praying about it, but we're not going to be able to change by talking about it. So we have a responsibility to make sure that we are that we have our eyes wide open in this situation. Just like this, because if you're not careful, before you know it, you're going to have an air pocket. Something that's going to ruin the look of your project. Something that's going to tarnish the hard work you're putting into what you do. And you don't want that. When you work hard on something, you want it to you don't want want to have anything in it that can set you back, that could tarnish what you're doing. So we've got to keep pressing until we get all the air, all those imperfections. And that's what the Lord does with us. He keeps pressing on us. Yah will keep working out those imperfections. And he uses other people a lot of times to work those imperfections out of us. And too often we want to forsake the process. But the blessing is in allowing him to continue to work on us. And we can't be too quick about it. You know, I know in our society we want things done. We want it done right now. But healing is not the same as a miracle. Miracle takes place in a moment. Healing takes place over time. It's not and it's necessary to take place over time. Because if you try to rush it, then you could do more damage than good. You want something to be, especially something that's been damaged in your body, you want it to be repaired completely. And if possible, better than it was before. You want it to be stronger. And if you try to rush the process, you can actually do more damage. So as you can see, I'm inching along. I know it seems like it's taking a really long time, but what's worse is if you have to pick this whole thing up that's now sticking, and then just to get to the point where the air bubble is inside. Especially if you have a huge air bubble. You got to re-stick everything. You got to take it off. So, like I said, it's better to go slow. There are some things you want to yank it off. You know, like if you have adhesive on your skin and you don't want to feel the pain of slowly removing it, but there are some things that you don't want to yank it off. You need to take your time getting it off, and that's how this is. You want to take your time getting the backing off so that you can keep pressing out all the excess air. Takes a little time, but it's time well worth it if you don't have to redo it again. And it's looking like I'm not going to have to redo it. I have a few air bubbles, but nothing I can't get out. Pressing through. Once you put the resin on this baby, it's done. Signed, sealed, delivered. It's yours. As they say. There's going to be no corrections at that point. Of course, we're pretty far from that. Just remember, if you're doing a project like this, because this is paper, it's laminate paper, And it's not as pliable or easy to damage as it would be if it were just, regular paper. But until you get that stuff on here, you don't want to be putting a lot of things on there. There's no point. So you want to be very careful about laying anything that's sticky or that can make a mess. You don't want to have no water stains or anything like that could take away from, your project and how it looks in the end. So I just encourage you to do your best to try to keep it as clean as you can until you're ready to put that resin on it. And that will be another video. That will be a video where I will show you how you put the resin, which is the final step of this process. But I will say this, if you don't have a kitchen that's quite as massive as mine, not only is it economical, but you could conceivably complete a project, a kitchen project like this in basically a weekend if it was a smaller kitchen. And especially if you had someone who was helping you doing it. This is a project that I am doing on my own, so it's going to take a tad bit more time to get it complete. But there's nothing that can't be done. And it is something I'm just going to have to take the time to do.